Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. It's fantastic to have you here today. If you're new around here, I just want to say you're in the right place for everything related to finance, government programs, money-saving tips, and keeping up with what's going on in the world of personal finance. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you never miss an important update, especially when it comes to money news. You don't want to be out of the loop, right? Now, let's jump right into some exciting news. If you've been following the recent news about stimulus payments, I'm sure you've heard about the $1,702 stimulus checks. That's right, these checks are making their way to millions of eligible residents in 32 states. Whether you're feeling the pinch from rising prices or dealing with inflation, this could be the relief you've been waiting for. But, of course, there's a lot to understand about these payments. The big questions on everyone's minds are who's eligible? And when will I get mine? Before you get too excited about the potential check arriving in your bank account, let me break everything down for you. There are some important details that you need to know about these payments. $1,702 might be the figure you've heard, but not everyone will be receiving this exact amount. These payments are being sent by state governments, not the federal government, so each state is managing the distribution process in its own way, and the payment amount can vary based on a number of different factors. Before we dive into the specifics, let's take a quick step back and understand why these payments are happening in the first place. I'm sure you're all familiar with the rounds of stimulus checks that the federal government issued during the COVID-19 pandemic. Those were designed to provide some much-needed relief during a time of widespread uncertainty and economic instability. But even as we've moved past the worst of the pandemic, many Americans are still grappling with the ongoing effects of rising inflation, high living costs, and a recovering job market. One of the most glaring issues we've seen in the past couple of years is the constant increase in living costs. Inflation has impacted everything from groceries to housing to gas, and many people are still feeling the financial strain. Even if you're employed, the rising prices of basic necessities are making it harder for families to stretch their budgets. This has made it incredibly challenging for millions of Americans to keep up with their daily expenses. That's where these state-issued stimulus payments come in. While the federal government's involvement with stimulus checks slowed down after the pandemic, many states have decided to step in and offer relief to their residents. These payments are an effort to help people manage the increased costs of living and give a boost to the local economy. By providing direct financial assistance, state governments are hoping to provide some breathing room for families and individuals, especially those in lower and middle income brackets. Now that we know why these payments are being issued, let's talk about how much you can expect to receive. The first thing to note is that the $1,702 figure isn't the same for everyone. In fact, depending on where you live, the amount you could receive may vary. The payment could range anywhere from a few $100s to over $1,500, with the possibility of some states offering even higher amounts. But $1,702 is typically the maximum amount in many states. For instance, California has announced payments of up to $15 for eligible residents, which will be distributed in waves starting in January 2025. Meanwhile, in Maine, the state is offering up to $17 for eligible individuals. These payments are designed to help residents manage ongoing inflation and increasing living costs. New Jersey is another state offering relief, with families set to receive up to $1,000 in stimulus payments. Other states, like Florida and Texas, will be issuing smaller amounts, ranging from $500 to $12 depending on specific eligibility criteria. So, as you can see, the amount varies based on your state's budget, its financial situation, and the overall goal of the relief package. To be clear, the $1,702 figure is the maximum payment, and that's only available in states like Maine. The specific amount you will receive depends on several key factors, like your income, your filing status, whether you're single, married, or head of household, and whether or not you have any dependents. Let's now move on to the burning question: who's eligible for these payments? It's important to understand that the eligibility criteria for these checks vary slightly depending on your state, but most states are looking at your income level, filing status, and in some cases, the number of dependents you have. For many states, this means that residents with lower and middle incomes will be the primary recipients of these payments, as they are the ones feeling the most strain from rising costs. For example, in California, residents who earn less than $75,000 a year are eligible for the full $1,500 payment, while couples who file jointly and earn under $150,000 are also eligible. This means that for a single filer making less than $75,000 or a couple making under $150,000, you would likely be in line for the maximum payment in your state. In states like Maine, eligibility is similarly based on income levels and filing status, but with slightly higher thresholds. If you're a single filer earning less than $100,000, you could receive up to $17. For joint filers, the limit is usually around $200,000. States like Florida and Texas are offering lower amounts, and in some cases, you might only be eligible for a partial check, depending on how much you earn. So, to sum it up, the lower your income, the more likely it is that you'll receive the full payment. Higher earners may still be eligible for a partial payment, but those earning above certain thresholds in each state may not qualify for anything at all. However, most states have set up relatively generous eligibility criteria to ensure that a majority of middle-class households can benefit from these relief checks. Let's talk about the timing now. Once you know how much you're eligible for, the next question is, when will the check actually arrive? As with everything else in this process, the payment dates can vary from state to state. However, one thing that most states have in common is that they are issuing payments in waves. In California, for example, payments are already being sent out starting in January 2025, and the state is issuing checks in batches. This means that the first wave of residents to receive their payments will likely be those who have filed taxes and set up direct deposit with the state. Other states, like Maine, are planning to start distributing checks in March 2025, while New Jersey is expected to begin issuing payments in February. Each state has its own schedule, so it's important to stay updated by checking your state's website. Most states will announce payment dates in advance, and many are offering portals where you can track the status of your payment. The process could take a few weeks or even months depending on your state's efficiency, so if you don't receive your check right away, don't panic. Now, let's talk about how these payments will actually be delivered. If you've ever received a tax refund or another government payment, you know that payments can be issued in different ways. In most cases, the preferred method for receiving the stimulus check is direct deposit. If you have direct deposit information on file with your state or the IRS, that's probably how you'll receive your payment. It's fast and efficient. For those of you who don't have direct deposit set up, or if your state doesn't use direct deposit for these payments, you will receive a paper check in the mail. This can take longer, so if you're waiting for a paper check, be patient and keep an eye on your mailbox. Another important thing to keep in mind is that with a payment of this size, scammers are likely to target people hoping to get their stimulus check. Be cautious about unsolicited phone calls, emails, or texts asking for your personal information. Legitimate government agencies will never ask for sensitive information like your social security number or bank account details over the phone. One of the most common questions I get is, how can I check to see if my payment is coming? The good news is that most states now have online portals where you can check your payment status. By entering your personal information like your social security number and filing status, you can get real-time updates on when you'll receive your payment. These online portals are a great resource for tracking your payment and ensuring that everything is going smoothly. If you're unsure whether you qualify or when your check will arrive, be sure to visit your state's official website and use these tools to stay informed. Finally, let's address what happens if you don't receive your payment. If you were expecting a check but haven't gotten it, the first thing you should do is double-check your eligibility. If everything looks good on your end and you still haven't received your check, you'll want to reach out to your state's tax department or the agency in charge of stimulus payments. They will have a customer service number or an online form where you can report missing payments and get the issue sorted. In many cases, missing payments are due to simple administrative issues, such as outdated information on file or incorrect addresses. By contacting the proper authorities, you can get the situation resolved and ensure that you receive your payment. And that's a wrap on everything you need to know about the $1,702 stimulus checks. We've covered a lot today, from how much you can expect to receive, to when the checks will be sent, and how you can check your status. I hope this video has answered some of your questions and provided you with the clarity you need to get ready for these payments. If this video was helpful, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more updates on stimulus checks and other personal finance news, and share it with your friends and family. Also, leave a comment below if you have any questions or thoughts. I'd love to hear from you.